Hello everyone, welcome to Paper Goodness. This is Maricar. Today I'm going to show you how I use watercolors in one of my coloring books. I did a review of several coloring books that I use watercolors on, and this is one of them. These came from the Winsor & Newton Cotman Sketchers box. I will post a link down below. I took them out of the box and put them in this tin. See, they're almost done. I've been using them a lot. I have this little guide to let me know what colors these are. So these are the Cotman paints. There are 12 of them, and these are just some extra paints that I have. I think most of them are Holbein. I have a Winsor & Newton and a Daniel Smith here. But really, these are the ones that I use the most, and you can get by with just these, and these are pretty inexpensive. I've been using them for months. All those pages that you saw in that other video that I've used watercolor in, these are the ones that I used. And I took them out of the Skechers box, original box that they came in, and put them in this tin. So it's a little Christmas tin, and it works really well. I just painted this with a white enamel, and this is how I store them. This is a little mini Altoids thing that I took apart and put a sponge in, and it fits really well like that, and I can carry this anywhere. So if I have a really small brush, it will fit here too, but right now this is what I have. So just these 12 colors, I can mix all the colors that I need for watercoloring. So the next thing that you need for watercoloring is our brushes, of course. So I have a set of various brushes. For water, you don't really need to spend a lot on brushes, especially if you're going to use coloring books, and I'll tell you why. Because if you use water colors in a coloring book, you don't want a lot of water. That's really a contrast to how watercolors usually are. If you use a watercolor paper, you'll need brushes that hold a lot of water. But if you're using watercolors in a coloring book, then you want your brush to not be so water heavy. So the really inexpensive brushes work really well for me. These are, I think this is, see, it doesn't even have a brand. I don't know what it is. This is a Da Vinci CosmoTop spin. That's a number 2. Hopefully you can see that right there. It's very small. And then this is a Winsor & Newton Cotman 1-stroke, which is also fairly small. See if you can focus right there. So these are synthetic brushes that are very inexpensive. You can buy them in a hobby store, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, online. So these are what I use, and they are really great because most coloring books have tiny spaces. Then the next one is a mixing palette. Now this lid actually works as a mixing palette too, but I like dinner plates. So I got these salad plates from let me see, is it Home Goods or Tuesday Morning? I don't remember, but you can get these in a home store, and they're nice and flat, and it's got a really nice mixing space. And since it's porcelain, it cleans up really well. So that's what I use for mixing. And then of course you'll need your coloring book. Now, if you're gonna buy a coloring book that you're going to use watercolors on, feel the pages before you buy them. Make sure they're substantial enough. I mean, you're gonna have to learn for yourself which pages feel substantial enough. I go around to the stores if I see coloring books and go feeling the pages and see if those will be good enough for watercolors. You kind of get a feel for it after some time. And then you'll need a container for your water. Now I'm going to show you how I do my watercolors in coloring books. So I have, let's look at this. Okay, and as I color, I'm going to give you a few tips as well. Let me just set things up. Okay. So this is just going to be really quick. So my main tip for using watercolors in your coloring book is to minimize the water. You don't want it to seep through the pages. That's why I like these synthetic brushes. They're small, they don't really hold a lot of water, and you can get them anywhere. Just trying to use up this these colors really. So this is almost gone. Another thing with using more pigment versus more paint is that it just sticks to the page better. I'll show you what I mean. If I have like a really thin wash of color and I color it, like apply it to the page, it just sits there and you can see more of the paper instead of having the thick layer of pigment lay on the page and stick there. So I like when I'm watercoloring on a coloring book, I really like to have a lot of paint compared to the water content. Let's add a little bit of that. So don't mind that I mix up my paints. I really don't mind that at all, so it's okay. And so that's a thicker mixture of paint compared to that one. And as you can see, it really layers it better. Another tip that I've discovered is that when you're using coloring books or using watercolors on coloring book is to paint in kind of a circular motion, because this kind of paper is not like watercolor paper and it dries much more quickly. And if you just paint in like straight lines like that, you'll see those lines and it just doesn't look as, at least not for me, it doesn't look as good as if you kind of randomly do that. So I'm just gonna do this really quick just to show you. So another tip I guess would be to use smaller brushes to help you control that water better. Sometimes I even just go straight to the paint and kind of apply it. And it's great for layering, you know, you get all these lovely colors. They're all different. See how quick that was? So yeah, if I had a little more yellow, I'd add yellow here, but maybe I'll use some yellow ochre. See how that works. So as you can see, I mean, with colored pencils, this would take me a long time, and sometimes I just like to just be really quick about it. So once that dries, you can add more paint to it. And it's actually better if you're watercoloring, if you're going to layer with additional colors, to let your page dry completely and don't like keep fiddling with it while it's wet, because then it'll just tear off little bits of your paper. So that for me would be like the maximum that I'm gonna work with it before I let it dry. When you're watercoloring on a coloring book, it's actually okay to use these inexpensive student grade paints like the Winsor and Newton Cotman. Another student grade paint would be the Koi, the Sakura Koi. I think the Van Gogh line. I haven't used those, but those are the ones that I've heard are pretty good student grade paints. Even Prang probably would be all right, because with artist grade paints, which are more expensive, you get a really nice translucent or transparent quality that you don't get as much with student grade paints. But when you're watercoloring on a coloring book, you don't layer as much, you don't glaze as much. So these student paints are just really, really good. Now let me show you some other pages where I did that circular motion with the blue and paint spray mixture. Let me move this away. Okay, that's not quite dry, so here. So I actually kind of like that color for black skies. So you don't want just a black, flat black color. That kind of works for me. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you again, and thank you for watching. Bye.